Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for today, Tuesday, September 3rd. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video is going to be structured. We'll be going over my core picks. It's going to be one pitcher, four hitters. That's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. Then after that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top teams to stack for tonight's slate overall. That cheat sheet is 100% free. It can be found on Facebook, it can be found on Twitter, and it can be found on the YouTube community tab. So definitely feel free to use it as you're building out your lineups for tonight's slate overall. I am going to first start off by apologizing. My mic is not working at this point in time. Hopefully it's a minor issue, otherwise we'll replace it tomorrow. But the audio might sound a little bit different today just because of that. I'm just doing off my standard laptop mic off at this point in time, so it probably doesn't sound quite as clear. So once again, do apologize for that. But without further ado, we'll get right into it with the core picks for tonight's slate. We're going to start off at the pitcher position with Luis Castillo of the Seattle Mariners. He goes against the Oakland A's tonight, and he's $10,000, averaging just over 33 fantasy points per game. He looks like a pretty solid option tonight. He's got mostly decent history versus the Oakland A's team in the past. A couple guys haven't hit home runs versus him, but other than that, has fared pretty well. In 2024, he had one start versus them, 46 points. And then in 2023, he had two starts against the Oakland A's, had 49 and 52 points. So his last three starts versus the Oakland A's have been really good. If we look a little bit further into Luis Castillo, what he's done on the season in totality, 11 wins, 3.65 ERA. Once again, averaging about 33 fantasy points per game at $10,000. Looks like a really good upside play on tonight's slate overall. Obviously, there are a couple of different pitchers out there that we can target. Going to make for a pretty interesting slate. You know, there's some guys that have decent history, and then everybody else is kind of like right in this mid-range that, you know, these guys could have good nights, they could have bad nights. We'll see what ultimately ends up happening with them. But without further ado, we'll get moved down to our hitters. We're going to start off with Freddie Freeman at first base, $3,400. Goes against the Los Angeles Angels. Reed Detmer's making his return to the majors. He got sent down because he's pitching really poorly. Now he's back up in the majors. And in his career versus Reed Detmers, Freddie Freeman is 2 for 6 with one home run. He's $3,400 tonight. He's averaging just under 12 fantasy points per game. If we look at what Freddie Freeman's done as of late, is at least one hit in 4 out of his last 5 games, 2 multi-hit games during that time span, 4 home runs, which is obviously really good, and then 3 double-digit performances. So coming off that, I believe, finger issue that was kind of bothering him for a little while, coming back real strong. Definitely do like Freddie Freeman tonight. If we look at what he's done so far on the season, he's got a 288 average, 21 home runs, 83 RBIs, once again averaging just under 12 fantasy points per game at $3,400. Looks like a really good play on tonight's slate overall. Then we're going to move down to second base with Andres Gimenez of the Cleveland Guardians, $2,900, averaging just under 9 fantasy points per game. Goes against the Kansas City Royals tonight. Brady Singer on the mound. He is 8 for 25 versus Brady Singer in his career. And if we look at what Andres Gimenez has done as of late, he has at least one hit in 4 out of his last 5 games. Only one multi-hit game during that time span, though. 2 home runs, 3 double-digit performances. Definitely do like his upside tonight. If we look at what he's done on the season, 251 average, 7 home runs, 54 RBIs. Once again, averaging just under 9 fantasy points per game at $2,900. Looks like a pretty good value option on tonight's slate overall. Obviously, if you don't want to play him, you want to play somebody else. If you're going with some of the stacks and everything else like that, you know this is a guy that we can get off of from that core pick aspect for tonight's slate overall. Then we're going to move down to outfield with Nick Castellanos, $3,100, averaging just under 9.5 fantasy points per game. Goes against the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. Chris Bassett on the mound. He is 10 for 28 with one home run versus Chris Bassett in his career. And if we look at what Nick Castellanos has done as of late, he has at least one hit in 7 out of his last 10 games. 4 multi-hit games during that time span, 3 home runs, 5 double-digit performances. And then he also does have 6 games of 9 fantasy points or higher. So definitely do kind of like that floor with him. Obviously, there's a couple of games in there as of late. Trying to avoid those ones, but you know, a relatively consistent floor, some pretty decent upside at the same time as well. If we look at what he's done on the season in totality, 249 average, 19 home runs, 76 RBIs, once again averaging just under 9.5 fantasy points per game at $3,100. And then last but not least, we're going to get down to a guy that's had a very poor season in Sean Murphy, $2,700, averaging just over 6.5 fantasy points per game. Goes against the Colorado Rockies tonight. Kyle Freeland on the mound. He used 3 for 3 versus Kyle Freeland in his career. So I'm kind of banking on that a little bit tonight. I like this Braves team as kind of a potential stack. Sean Murphy kind of a potential value play just in general. He has at least one hit in 4 out of his last 6 games. That's kind of the good with it. No multi-hit games during that time span. 1 home run, 1 double-digit performance. So on paper, you know, you look at it, doesn't look quite as bad, but from a fantasy aspect, hasn't really offered too much upside as of late. Hasn't offered too much upside this season. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's still down there. So if we can get that out of him tonight, it's going to look pretty good. 219 average on the season, 8 home runs, 18 RBIs. once again averaging just over 6.5 fantasy points per game at $2,700. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do have here, definitely don't have to play all 5 of these together. Probably mix and match some stacks a little bit better, but $12,900 remaining, just over $3,200 per player. So looking a little bit like a balance build type of day. Obviously, there are some high-end players that I would want to get some exposure to, especially like Shohei Ohtani if you're playing that Dodgers stack. Aaron Judge is out there, got some decent history versus Andrew Heaney. We got Jose Ramirez, who's had some pretty good history in the past versus Brady Singer as well. So a lot of guys up there on the top. If you want to pay down a pitcher, pay up for some of those hitters, you can definitely do that. Pay up for hitters, pay down to some other hitters, you can do that as well. Or if you kind of want to go with that balance build, definitely a lot of ways to approach the slate overall, kind of embrace some of that volatility and variability on the slate overall. But with that being said, we'll get moving over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for tonight's slate overall. So once again, the cheat sheet is 100% free. It can be found on Facebook, it can be found on Twitter, and it can be found in the YouTube community tab. So definitely feel free to use it as you're building out your lineups for tonight's slate overall. But in terms of my top GPP teams to stack for tonight's slate, we have the Atlanta Braves going against Kyle Freeland. We mentioned Sean Murphy in the core picks. He's got a decent history versus him. Orlando Arcia. A lot of players from this Atlanta Braves team is going to be very stackable. Jorge Soler is another one with good history. Marcell Ozuna doesn't, but he typically is left-handed pitching pretty well. Then we move over to Los Angeles Dodgers going against Reed Detmers. Not like a long list of history there, but they have hit him pretty well, or at least about half their lineup has, and I do like the upside. And Reed Detmers had an ERA over 6 earlier this season. Got sent down to the minors. This is his first start back. Who knows what he's going to look like at this point in time. And then last but not least, we have the Seattle Mariners going against JT Ginn, making a second career start, 4th career appearance, or 5th career appearance. I can't remember which off the top of my head. So a very green guy at this point in time. Definitely do like the upside of that Mariners team overall in that matchup tonight. But with that being said, that's what I do have in terms of the core picks, as well as top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday, September 3rd. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then, as always, I'll be leaving all the updates down in that comment section as well, whether that's weather-related, starting pitcher-related, and then I will be posting all the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the late afternoon and early evening down there as well. So definitely make sure you're checking up down there, especially as we do get closer to lock. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have MLB DFS in terms of the core pick videos Monday through Friday. Got my CFL DFS video coming out once a week, typically on Wednesdays. I know I did miss last week's, kind of with the Labor Day weekend and everything else like that. Kind of made things a little bit more difficult with my schedule just in general. So once again, do apologize for that. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for Parlay Play, Prize Picks, and BetUS. If you are a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your first deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS tonight.